Hello and welcome to the Nonprofit Story Training. This is the intro. My name is Dan Portnoy. I'll be your teacher for this class and really excited to have you along to talk with you about story training or storytelling for your nonprofit in a corporate or smaller nonprofit environment. And let's just tell some great stories. As we get started, just want to let you know that this is part of Portnoy Media's commitment to helping you tell the best story possible. I've been very fortunate to help for-profits and nonprofits in the last several years create campaigns and new media pieces that have resulted in over $120 million in donations of revenue in the last several years. And I want to bring that to you. And that's what this class is about. Most of the issues that we're going to talk about are anchored in the book, The Nonprofit Narrative, that came out last year. And some very nice people have said very nice things about it, which is a great thing. And I hope you pick it up if you haven't already. Otherwise, let's get started. Okay, so a couple things. I want to let you know that I'm going to be using the word story and brand interchangeably because I believe they are the same. Your brand's your story. And how your story takes shape and interacts with customers and clients and donors is storytelling, marketing, and communication. Monitoring your storytelling, that's brand management, right? So if you're monitoring your story and that's called brand management, well, wouldn't it be called story management? So I'm going to use those interchangeably throughout the class. And I find it's just easier when people start talking about branding or talk about story. If you kind of clump them together, it makes it just easier, I know, in my brain. So I hope it does the same for you. So let's go over what we're going to talk about. In this class, we're going to be talking about how to discover or remember or define who your organization is. And I say remember is because as a storyteller, you tell stories every day. What I'm going to be doing is reminding you of some of the different ways that we can do that to kind of wake that up in you. And so it's already there. It's part of our DNA, telling stories. We do it, whether it's the water cooler or we do it family time, we just came through the holidays, whatever it is. These story principles are in us, and we can actually just we're gonna spend some time kind of reviving it, or rediscovering, redefining your organization, how it is. And if you're a new organization, this is kind of a great way to get started in defining things, more simply and not go through a huge, long, big, mission statement time and this, that, and the other thing. We're going to talk about your mission in a sentence. We're going to talk about how to be able to communicate that we do this for this group. That's what we do. And if you can say that, it's a lot easier for people to get involved in what you're doing. We're also going to be spending some time on helping you tell your best story through multi-channel communication. Multi-channel communication is actually the best way to be talking about your brand, your story, because you're re-emphasizing each piece over and over through the different platforms that you've got, that you're running, the different sandboxes that you're participating in. We're then going to be working on to have your story connect to an audience that we'll be defining, and that'll be part of it. We'll be defining primary and secondary, tertiary audiences that we're trying to reach and what we want them to do. So we've got to communicate for the desired behavior. If we don't do that, boy, that's going to be a problem. So we're going to spend some time figuring out how we do that. And then we're going to create tools to monitor all of the system that we've created through key performance indicators. And that's going to make the piece, really stick. So what we're about to do is like a lot of things in life. It's simple, but it's not easy. We're going to be looking to simplify your communications. This is going to be the best way to communicate with a lot of people. If you're not doing massively complex pieces, if you're breaking things down into small chunks, your audiences are going to respond better, and that makes life a lot easier. So we're going to spend some time on that. Many of the phone calls I receive are from organizations that are in trouble. Usually it has to do with identity issues or communication breakdowns. It could be, previous interactions from one department to another has actually set things off in a negative way. And I kind of think of that as like the fist bump trying to give a high five. If you've ever tried to do that, it is actually a terrible thing, and you both feel weird at the end. And that's essentially that's about the most I could think about in trying to give a sense memory to that idea. So one of the ways that this is played out in an organization that I worked with, they were doing some communication and it was fine. And I got a phone call and they said, we need your help. And when I got there, and what happened was the marketing department had kind of run amok and they were doing their own thing, but they weren't beholden to anyone, and as a result, some of the development or the program side of things didn't really trust them, and the marketing department was ruled by a tyrant. And so what that was a really rough go. Well, the tyrant moved on and the distrust was still there, so we had to spend some time figuring out those problems in order that the internal communication would essentially be helped, as well as the external communication. And that happens over time. So we've got to do some audit and assessing to figure out the best way to do that. So we're going to be talking about story. Everyone's talking about it right now. It's a big thing, you know. See, once upon a time, here's a story, this, that, and the other thing. But how do we get there? Like, everybody talks about it, and I actually find it really frustrating, and I do it for a living. And I just get so, put out by people who are giving bad advice, or they just say, really, story is really important, but they can't tell you how to get there. And that's what we're going to be doing in this class. We're going to be talking about a lot of how-tos, not only from a strategic point of view, but also from a tactical point of view. And so we're going to focus on all that. We're also going to be debunking some storytelling myths, because I just want to make sure there are some traps that you can fall into, and I don't want to do that. And I know you don't either. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on that. And just like any good story, there's going to be a beginning and middle and end. This is how it's going to look in the class. We're going to be talking about a storytelling approach and why that works. Essentially those principles that connect with people the best. Then we're going to be looking at audit and assess where you're at. And by audit, I don't mean some long, elaborate focus group, get everything figured out. We're going to take the temperature of the organization real quickly, and we're going to make some assumptions, and we're going to start moving. And the wildest part is that I've done it where we've done audits and it's been focus grouped, and we spend tens of thousands of dollars talking with people. And the crazy part is that what we find out is the original hypothesis that we suppose is actually confirmed in those focus groups. So we spent a lot of money, and we've come up with the exact same idea that we've had when we get started. So we're going to spend some time and actually drawing some specific examples from people who have either organizations that have taken this class or currently enrolled. So it's kind of a neat go. So we'll be looking at that and assessing where you are in all of your different spaces, whether it's Facebook or email, or how the website's looking, and what's your tone on Pinterest? I mean, really anything. We're going to be looking at all that. And then we move to the middle, which is going to be moving from theory to practicality. So building your story practically, because I think that's also, again, very important. I don't want to waste your time. I don't like it when people waste my time. So I want to get you a good bang for your buck. Let's build your story practically, and then think about creating your campaign or campaigns. One of the things to talk about in the nonprofit narrative is just a quick, brief overview, and the idea that there's 3 parts to a story. There could be 3 campaigns that you create over the course of a year. I'm going to show you a couple different breakdowns that aren't just a small organization doing 3 campaigns, which can happen and actually works really well. And I even know some larger organizations that tend to do smaller. They go on the low side of campaigns, which I think is actually a good thing. But I can show you how complex you can actually make that as well, if you so desire. But we're going to focus on again, to simplify things down, but just how to create those campaigns and how to make the story arcs work together over the course of the year. And then the last piece, we're going to be figuring out again how to monitor your system to make sure, so you can again take that temperature, do some quick audit, monitor, and keep moving, and then adjust as needed, so that you can reinforce that great story that you've been working on. So with that, I have a little bit of homework, and so this will happen each week. And one of the things is, and this is really a crucial piece as you're getting set up, I think it's really important to take some time and set it aside and have the right tools, right? So one of the things that I really enjoy, and when I offer this class to nonprofits, when I'm there doing the one-day strategy with them, where we're spending some time doing an audit and then we're coming into our strategy piece for corporate storytelling, I actually give every person a moleskin just like this, and I think they're really great. I'm a big fan of, this is the large size here, but I actually am a big fan of the extra large size with the soft cover. It only comes in a soft cover, it doesn't come in a hard cover, and it's blank inside. I don't get it without any, I get it without it's not ruled, so it's just plain, and it works out really nice. And I like it because I can take dynamic notes, I can draw little pictures in there, I can kind of flesh out something. If I need to storyboard something really fast, I can do that, and I can do that all in a meeting really quickly. So you don't have to get a moleskin. It could be field notes, it could be something, it could be a 3-ring binder with some paper, blank paper. It doesn't bother me what it is, but put, write on this. This is your story, because you need to be thinking like the writer of your organization. You're the chief storyteller, so how are you setting time aside that you can be spending and using this tool to work out where places you need to go? What are some ideas? How can you flank the issue that you're fighting against? Whether it's you're trying to solve a water crisis, or you're trying to deal with people in human trafficking, whatever it is, you've got to, flank that idea and come up with a few things. And I find the moleskin works really good. I also like it because it's something that, whether it's Mark Twain to Thomas Jefferson, Ernest Hemingway to Frank Capra, they've all used moleskins, and I think they're really great. There's also a lot of digital options that would also work, and so you don't have, and they're free. Things like Evernote will work out really well. You can take notes, you can take photos, and you can post them to your Evernote, which I'll have some links on the page for some digital options. Also, things, if you've got an iPad like Adobe Ideas, it's just like a notepad, which works really good. There's also another one called Penultimate, and that's really nice. And then the last one is Paper, which is really, really sharp. And I use it, actually, I use that for some storyboarding fun when I'm laying things out, because it just works so excellent. It's really, really great. So I'll have links to all that underneath. The last piece is, I need you to carve out some time, and I need you to get into the habit of doing it. It could be 30 minutes. 30 minutes every day, or give yourself like an hour and a half once a week, and use it to start going through this class, because that's going to be that first little bit. But I want you to keep that habit going, because that is going to be really crucial to think about and be creative about your story. Because the problem is, tyranny of the urgent will get us all if we don't plan for it, right? If we don't set aside some time, there's always going to be something that's important. So schedule that time and then protect it. And that is the first key to telling a better story, is you've got to allow yourself the brain space to do it. Otherwise, you're going to just be coming up with something quick, and it's just going to get emailed out just like it's always been. And we don't want to do that. We want to be better than that. So carve out some time. That's part of the homework. So I want you to carve out some time. I want you to get a notebook of some kind and be ready to go. If you have any questions during the class, I want you to email me, dan@portnoymediagroup.com. Just shoot me any thoughts, any questions you've got. I want to make sure that I'm a resource for you. And that's it for our introduction. Next up, let's build our story. And the story behind a lot of things that I'm not articulating. Just nothing is happening. The next generation, next iteration.